Welcome everyone to another Fantasy Goodfellas video where Richard and I talk about the top 30 running back rankings for week 2. Richard, you ready?
Let's go.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
Boom, boom, boom.
Rolling on the field.
Fantasy Goodfellas. All right, before we get started on this week's rankings, Richard, tell us how we did last week.
Well, last week, if you take out T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, and Alan Lazard, who didn't even play, we hit on 18 of 27, which is solid. We missed on CeeDee Lamb, Courtland Sutton, Mike Williams, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, Adam Thielen, and Hunter Renfrow.
All right, before we get started in this week's video, I just want to explain what to expect. Richard's going to give his rankings, and we're going to use our stat machine to kind of hold them accountable and also show you some nicer stats that can help you make your own predictions and set your lineups. All right, Richard, line them up.
Number 1, Justin Jefferson at Philadelphia. Philadelphia just allowed 34 points from Detroit, and Justin Jefferson just went off. So expect more of the same. And number 2, Cooper Kupp will be home against Atlanta. This is a much better matchup than Buffalo. And Cooper Kupp still gets his no matter who he plays. So he's number 2. Number 3, Jamar Chase at Dallas. Cincinnati got it together in that second half. I think the Dallas defense is vulnerable. So I think Cincinnati's going to do well. And number 4, Devontae Adams, who will be home against Arizona in what I think is going to be a shootout. Devontae Adams, again, proved to be Derek Carr's number 1 guy, put up big numbers just like he did in Green Bay. And number 5, Stephon Diggs, who will be home against Tennessee. That's the number 1 wide receiver on an amazing offense, amazing quarterback. I really like Stephon Diggs.
All right, hold on here. Stephon Diggs have 9 targets last week. That's pretty good, but to be this ranked this high, you would expect a little bit more targets going his way. Do you think there's just too many targets there in Buffalo?
Yeah, well, there are definitely options for Josh Allen, and he spreads the ball around, but he's still looking for Stephon Diggs, and there's always that big play. And number 6, Tyreek Hill at Baltimore. So we saw how the Mike McDaniel offense is looking to get Tyreek Hill the ball, and why wouldn't they, right? So we know his floor is high. He's up against a tough defense, but Tyreek Hill, not only is his floor high, that dude is an unbelievable playmaker. I like him a lot. And number 7, Mike Evans at New Orleans, the number 1 red zone target for Tom Brady in a game where Tom Brady might have to pass a lot more than he did in week 1. Mike Evans should be fine. And number 8, Deebo Samuel, who will be home against Seattle. We're starting to get worried about Deebo Samuel, right? His floor is high because he gets a lot. He's going to get carries. The ball's going to go to him a lot. But Trey Lance looked horrible in week 1. I know, bad weather, say what you will. Still hasn't looked great in the NFL. And the question is, will he ever look good? And number 9, Michael Pittman at Jacksonville. Pittman had a solid game. We know they're looking for him. He's a good receiver, good matchup. He should be fine. And number 10, scary Terry McLaurin at Detroit. Terry McLaurin had a big play last week. That will continue. It looks like Carson Wentz is slinging the ball. He looks healthy. For now, that Washington offense looking all right. And number 11, A.J. Brown, home against Minnesota. A.J. Brown did a lot better than I thought he was. I know he's going to get passes, but it's Jalen Hurts, who doesn't pass that much, doesn't pass well. But he was looking for A.J. Brown a lot, so that's a plus. And number 12, Mike Williams at Kansas City. Mike Williams did nothing last week, right? Very little. They weren't even looking for him. But now Keenan Allen is probably going to miss this Thursday night game. Mike Williams should have more usage. Really should be the de facto number 1 receiver on that offense right now. And number 13, we have Jerry Jeudy home against Houston. Okay. I think Jerry Jeudy's going to have better numbers than Courtland Sutton. I know everybody was on the Courtland Sutton train, but just based on that first game, I think Jerry Jeudy's going to put up bigger numbers. I have him ranked higher this week. And number 14, Gabriel Davis will be home against Tennessee. We know Gabriel Davis makes big plays. He scored week 1. I think he's going to score again week 2. If Josh Allen's his quarterback, he'll be fine. At number 15, we have Marquise Brown at Las Vegas. Marquise Brown scored a touchdown last week. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be Kyler Murray against Derek Carr. I think Marquise Brown will have another big play.
Hold on. Being Kyler Murray's number 1 receiver for now, you'd expect more from him, though.
I expect as those two develop more chemistry, we're going to get more and more Marquise Brown. But am I a little worried? If I own, I do have Marquise Brown in one league. Yeah, there's a little bit of concern. I thought there would have been more usage. But again, that game went bad for them against Kansas City. We'll see how it goes this week. And number 16, CeeDee Lamb will be home against Cincinnati. All right, no Dak Prescott. That is a problem. We'll see how Cooper Rush does, but CeeDee Lamb is a very talented receiver. That's the number 1 receiver on that team. He will make plays. And number 17, Brandon Cooks at Denver. What can we say about Brandon Cooks? We say it every week. It's like regardless of matchup, regardless of who his quarterback is, regardless of the team he plays on, he puts up numbers. It's a playmaker. And number 18, DK Metcalf at San Francisco. Geno Smith looked capable, and DK Metcalf got some targets. No big plays. You know they're coming from DK Metcalf. You know they're coming. They're up against a tough defense this week, but Metcalf can turn a little gain into a huge gain. And number 19, Amon-Ra St. Brown will be home against Washington. All right, a lot of people chimed in about this guy, telling us, we need to include him in our top 30, and we will this week. He has been very productive from the last 4 or 5 games of last season, and now to include week 1, it's time we start giving him a little respect. And number 20, Jaylen Waddle at Baltimore. Waddle scored week 1. We know he's a playmaker. The problem is Tyreek Hill is going to get all the attention in that offense. But that might free up Waddle for a touchdown like it did last week. And number 21, Courtland Sutton, who'll be home against Houston. We talked about it earlier. Russell Wilson's going to put up big numbers in that Denver offense. There's going to be enough for both Jeudy and Sutton. And number 22, Juju Smith-Schuster, who'll be home against the LA Chargers. We think this game is going to be a shootout. And you know what Juju showed us last week? That he is Patrick Mahomes' number 1 target. And you know what that means. That offense is going to put up a lot of big numbers, and Juju Smith-Schuster will as well. And number 23, Michael Thomas, home against Tampa Bay. Michael Thomas found the end zone, made some plays. He was never an explosive guy. He was more possession steady, knew what spots to get to, had a great quarterback in the past. I still think he's overrated overall, but he's got some value. He's got some value, and Jameis Winston is pretty good.
Hold on.
And
you got Michael Thomas ranked, but Jarvis Landry had a better week 1. What is it about Thomas versus Landry that you like Thomas better?
So, that's a fair question. We'll see as the season progresses. I don't hate Jarvis Landry. I just have to take one or the other. I'm not taking 2 receivers from that offense. And Michael Thomas was the one that scored the touchdowns. So we'll go with Michael Thomas. And number 24, we have Deontay Johnson, who will be home against New England. Deontay had a very disappointing week 1, and Mitch Trubisky didn't look very good. But Deontay's still the number 1 receiver on that offense. He's an excellent receiver. We expect him to rebound. And number 25, DJ Moore at the New York Giants. DJ Moore, what can we say? He didn't put up good numbers week 1, but what did we, it's Baker Mayfield at quarterback. He's going to have duds. Robbie Anderson caught a long touchdown, but Baker Mayfield is a offense killer. Look what Cleveland did with Jacoby Brissett. Jesus. Anyway, number 26, Julio Jones at New Orleans. So now we know Godwin is gonna miss some time. Julio Jones looked healthy. Granted, he's much older now, but he looked healthy. So we're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Right now, he's the number 2 on that offense. And you know what Brady can do. And number 27, Rashad Bateman will be home against Miami. Bateman did okay week 1. He is Lamar Jackson's number 1 receiver, not counting Mark Andrews. Number 28, Curtis Samuel at Detroit. Here's a guy that's rising. He got a lot of targets, made things happen. He's up against a bad defense in week 2. And number 29, Christian Kirk will be home against Indianapolis. Kirk looks to be Trevor Lawrence's number 1 receiver. He got a lot of targets. So we have to give him we got to give him some attention. And number 30, I have T. Higgins at Dallas. So far, they're saying T. Higgins has a chance to play in week 2. And obviously, if he plays in week 2, he will easily make the top 30.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on here and sharing your top 30 wide receiver rankings for week 2. As a reminder, everybody who's watching this video, you have a chance to compete with Richard. So if you want to put your money where your mouth is and submit your rankings and compete against him, you can. Richard, would you mind competing against anybody that's out there?
Not at all. Not at all. The more the merrier. Let's do it.
Those fantasy good fellas.
Rolling on the field.
Those fantasy good fellas.